Welcome, everybody. We're going to have a special episode tonight with Luke McKee. He's an international refugee, a political refugee from Australia. He's been exposing pedophile rings across the globe, and he's been pretty much driven out of his home country because he threatened to expose the militant LGBTQ plus P agenda to use public programs to take advantage of children. And that's the problem. We can't allow our morals to slip to that point. So I want to introduce you to Luke McKee. And
Hello.
He's going to give you a little bit of a background about what his ordeal is. And then we're going to get into some of skim the surface of all the information this man has on international pedophile rings that are run not just in Australia or the Pacific Rim region, but also reaching as far into as the American heartland. So let's give him a little time to explain what's gone on with him.
Okay. In this broadcast, I'm going to try and change your worldview, try and make you think that homophobia is natural. It's a biological defense mechanism to allow your genes to be passed on to your children and grandchildren, because Scientific American says sexuality is malleable for teenagers. And there's organizations like GetCarrot.com, ran by a Clinton Foundation operative called Tammy Sun, that hands out the $125,000 that every Google employee gets in the fertility allowance to buy a baby from the third world, exploiting an Asian woman's womb for $1 an hour. And it doesn't even matter if the sperm going into that room is HIV positive, says the gays. Yes, they are making gay pride days babies. And they're saying that 20% of the young now, or 1 in 5, are homosexual. And they've outdone Alfred Kinsey saying the 10%. And Kinsey had to sample a prison population to get that rate. The US CDC historically says it's 1.5. And 1.5% of the population is responsible for 45% of all the child abuse that occurs to children. The source for that is Hetty Johnston's Bravehearts Australia Child Abuse Fact Sheet. And but homosexuals only make 10% of the pedophile population. They're just more prolific. The source for that is, if you Google PubMed, homosexuality, pedophilia. So yeah, people don't. A lot of things I'm going to say today, people just don't know. People hear the news about Bake the Cake, and for example, Sweet Cakes in Melissa being sued in Oregon, Portland, Oregon. What they don't know is that a man charged with child rape made that happen, Terry Bean, Obama's friend who flies on Air Force One and dances with Nancy Pelosi. And the governor, Ted Krogonsky in Oregon, said, the Oregon Equality Act is only thanks to his doing when he announced the signing of the bill. And Terry Bean says, we're going to come after you. We're going to get you, Christians, when the law was introduced. So what I'm trying to tell people here is to wake up, stop relying on the mainstream media to set your value judgments, and start doing the research like I've done and get to the facts and the truth of the situation. And to that end, we're going to go forth and go through some of the things I've discovered.
So let's start with one of your tweets here. We have, let's bring that up onto the screen.
Yeah, it's Stop Boy Lover. If you guys want to follow along with us and see the tweets yourselves, that's where you go. Stop Boy Lover.
So it's on Twitter. It's at Stop Boy Lover, and if you go onto his page, when you hit the tweets, make sure you go to every single one of the links that are included.
Especially the media tweets. The tweets with images are the most powerful ones.
Yeah. So you got to go to the images, go to the links, make sure that you read all the, because there's so much information, I've seen this on all of your tweets. There's so much information compacted into each one of these because it's almost frantic how we're trying to get this word out that this pedophile network is going on and how it operates. So it's like we're trying to get all this information
networks.
out. Yeah,
pedophile networks. The pedophile network, in my opinion, is the Ordo Templi Orientis, based on their religious doctrine of forcing children into the Gnostic Catholic Mass ritual, which involves oral sex acts or worse, and the fact that they have a doctrine of child sacrifice and drinking blood. And they're jailing people in Australia without trial for religious vilification. And if you want to start getting to know me after this broadcast, you should check out my my video on BitChute I did with Professor James Spetzer. I actually showed how the government is, the broadcast even includes someone from a respondent to a high court proceeding in Australia talking to government officials, which I doxed in the broadcast, who are trying to prosecute my mate for something I put on his blog with my own Google account about the Ordo Templi Orientis for religious vilification. And if you guys type in couple jailed for contempt in vilification case, Age newspaper, you'll see that they're actually sending people to jail in absentia, contrary to the Victorian rights. So the Victorian Charter of Human Rights and Responsibilities Act, Section 25, thou has a basic human right to appear in court in person before being jailed, unless you don't hail Satan, in which you have no human rights. That's how far the Australian government has gone. So if you're a lefty person trying to troll us today, please hear us out first. You might want to help us write submissions to the United Nations to get something done about this.
Exactly. So, and in absentia just means that the person is not in the court at the time that they are sentenced. So that means that essentially there's a secret hearing, a secret trial without you knowing, or if you know, you're not there to represent yourself.
It gets better. There was a high court case of Bernard Gaynor, Tess Corbett, who was in that broadcast I just mentioned there before. And the person who sued my dad for homosexual vilification of Mark Newton and Peter Trong, the two gay dads who raped a screaming Russian baby and then inspired the Russian democracy to make the anti-gay laws that MSNBC loves complaining against. There's so much to unpack.
There is a lot to unpack. So, I mean, and just the fact that somebody is convicted without being there. I mean, these are laws that have been laid down since the Magna Carta, since the Constitution, since the Iroquois Confederation. These are natural rights that are being denied people because they oppose a certain ideology or lifestyle that they don't agree with. We have the right to disagree. But apparently to the OTO, to those who believe that their religious doctrine of Satanism is superior, they believe that they have the right to jail people for not just not adhering, but to not participating in their
or rejecting their doctrine of child sacrifice that they have. Aleister Crowley, Magic and Theory and the Law, the most suitable victim for blood sacrifice is a male child of suitable intelligence. And the Book of the Law says, sacrifice the cattle after a child. And the High Court of Australia in Burns, Gaynor, Corbett said, interstate tribunals had no jurisdiction. So Vivian Legg and Dyson Devine were kidnapped and sent directly to jail without going to court by the two New South Wales police officers and 4 Victorian police officers for the first case in Australia's history of a tribunal prosecuting someone for contempt of court. And in the Bernard Gaynor High Court case, they were saying that, I'll touch the screen. They were saying that, we're not a court, we're just a tribunal. So therefore the Constitution that says no court shall regulate political free speech doesn't apply to us. So, but we are a court when we're sending you to jail. But you know, when our jurisdiction is, so the High Court ruled they had no jurisdiction. If police kidnap people illegally and throw them in jail, it's a kidnapping. And any escalation of force, Vivian Legg and Dyson Devine chose to execute against these order-following satanic pedophile cult order-following cops would be lawful. Yes, in their case, it would be lawful to shoot dead New South Wales police. Any lawyer will tell you that. As long as they escalate it, they go away, or I will, and keep stepping it up. But that's what's happening in Australia, and they're entitled to millions of dollars of compensation for what happened to them, and their case has gone dark. No one can find Legg and Devine now.
Let's unpack this tweet right here. So, what about a safe space for Christians? The last gay teacher who complained in Brisbane Times about being kicked out of a Catholic school. I researched. The partner was charged with child rape. So what happened in that case?
Okay, well, Bernard Gaynor was on an interview yesterday, and he said he was asked the question. He was sued for saying on 4BC radio, "I don't want a gay teacher in my school around my kids." And based on what I first said at the start of the broadcast, there's this thing called the precautionary principle. If your private schools currently have the right to discriminate, and if you're going to pay a premium for a private school, then the customer's always right, don't you think? Yeah. And so these guys, Two Dads and Me, they were edited out of the film Gayby Baby that New South Wales police forced on children at Homebush. Is it Homebush or Strathfield Girls High School? I think it was Burwood, Homebush or Strathfield Girls High. The picture of them doing that's on my Twitter, by the way. So the New South Wales Special Gay Police forced wearing their purple uniforms and Waffen Nazi SS designed pink triangle logos. Now, look, I don't believe in the. I'm going to get in trouble for this. I don't believe in the Holocaust, but if you don't accept New South Wales Special Gay Police wear pink triangle badges designed by the Waffen SS, then you are a Holocaust denier. So you can call them Nazi homocops if you want, because that's what they're wearing, Nazi regalia on their uniforms. Anyway, so these gay police have been the bane of my existence, and that's why I'm a political refugee, and that's how this all started with me. Now, what we're looking at here is these two men were going to run the Two Dads and Me, that's their Twitter handle, Gay Dads the Musical at the Brisbane Powerhouse Performing Arts Centre. But it was cancelled due to the child rape charges. I believe Bernard Gaynor actually went to their Bernard Gaynor on Twitter has used to publish a lot of my research before he kept being sued. So now he's somewhat limited. His high court case, which I mentioned, one of the allegations against him is he criticised the Toronto Gay Pride Parade, where naked homosexuals with erect penises on the street, being followed by rainbow-marked police cars, showed themselves off to children. And he criticised that when putting some black squares in the naughty bits on his blog, and that was deemed hate speech because it's hate. It's so wonderful. Wait.
So it was hate speech to block out or censor the genitalia.
No, it's hate speech to criticise gay men whipping out their genitalia in front of children on the street. That's what the New South Wales Anti-Discrimination Board said. And Bernard Gaynor published my research on the Anti-Discrimination Board, partnered with Sydney Beat Project, that is lobbying Parliament for the gays to not only go naked, but have the right to do anal sex acts in public parks in front of children. Decriminalise that.
So if you complain about that, it's hate speech.
Yeah, well, that's what Gary Burns said in his complaint to the Anti-Discrimination Board, and he's now suing the most famous footballer in Australian history, definitely legal history, Israel Folau. He's had to leave the country and play for Catalonia. Is that where you're from originally? Or no,
me?
Your family? Yeah.
No, my family is originally from Germany and Austria.
Okay.
But one side of my family came here during the 1600s, and the other came at about the turn of the century. But that blows my mind. So sex on the street.
Yeah, I put the screenshots of their submissions to Parliament on my Twitter account. I think you actually retweeted that one.
I think I did. Here, I mean, just going through here, I mean,
Open up the one about the gay police. That's them partnered with a dormitory for 12-year-old boys that offers hands-on dildo stroking BDSM classes in their gay orphanage. And so you've got the picture of them admitting they have 12-year-old boys, a picture of them admitting in their own press releases they run dildo stroking BDSM classes for children, and you've got a picture of the gay police partnered with them only a month ago. That one you're looking at on your screen now.
And also, just to tie in the OTO, the Ordo Templi Orientis or Sabbateans, or Thelemites, or what they believe.
Yeah, that's a good tie-in. The gay lobby and the OTO go way back. By law in California, all American school children must hail to the NAMBLA King. The NAMBLA King, who has his own homepage on NAMBLA.org, is Harry Hay. Okay, Harry Hay. And even Wikipedia says he played the organ for the Ordo Templi Orientis, a gape lodge in Los Angeles with Jack Parsons. And he went to gay pride marches. You can look up the image of him walking down a street with a placard on his chest saying, NAMBLA walks with me. And he's the undisputed founder of American Gay Rights, a member of the Satanic Child Sex Cult, and NAMBLA. And he was actually caught going to NAMBLA meetings before he died by the folks at Breitbart. And hopefully the folks at Mass Resistance are watching us now. They exposed Kevin Jennings, who wrote the book that all the children have to study. In fact, all the children get sent to LGBThistorymonth.com to study Harry Hay every year. You can't make it up. So by law, children must praise NAMBLA. SB 48 Gay History Month bill. The bill doesn't say that Harry Hay must be praised explicitly, but it says the founders of rights movements for LGBT in America must be studied, which is him.
Oh, I'm looking at it right now. The picture of him with the thing on his chest.
Yeah, show it on your screen. Show it on your screen for your listeners, people who don't know how to Google.
Hold on 1 second. Let me just screen share and Chrome tab. And let's just share that. Right.
That's right. That's the founder of US Gay Rights. Harry Hay, OTO, NAMBLA. They all intersect.
So the thing that I want to hammer home,
say that every child must praise that man by law. SB 48, California House Bill.
SB 48. Let's bring that up right now.
Yeah. Anytime you want to call bullshit on me and say, okay, prove it, we'll do it. In fact, if you see people in the live stream comments doing that, rather than you calling me out to double fact check something, let's have the people watching the live stream do it. And maybe that will definitely make all the commenters who are trolls go very quiet very quickly.
So what it pretty much says in this bill is that any discrimination, anything that they see, what we have to understand is discrimination is a subjective. What I find discriminatory, you may not find discriminatory. So pretty much what it does is open up this whole world of, in California, if you say something against the gay lobby, against the militant LGBTQ plus P, then you are a hate monger. As long as they say, I feel discriminated by what this man says. The gays say
end discrimination. The gays say in discrimination. If you don't discriminate, you are bisexual. Okay? I discriminate who I married. I discriminated against, my life before that. That's what people do. Discrimination is part of life.
Right there, Senate Bill number 48, where it says anything that somebody finds discriminatory, whether it's based on race, sex, gender, creed, this is a subjective thing. And people have to understand how dangerous this is. It is, in fact, allowing for this gray area where people of the militant LGBTQ plus P organization, ideology, whatever you want to call it, community, they can say, well, look, I find this discriminatory. If somebody criticizes Nambla, or if somebody criticizes Harry Hay, this is
I'll give you some other cases, not discriminatory. Now, in America, you've got discrimination laws. So that's baking a cake has to be involved, or a gay walking into a church building, into adoption center, and saying, please hand over your baby, Christian, to the house of Sodom. Give us your baby. You don't think that happens? OWOV, Wesley City Mission. That's the case law. So that's discrimination. But in Australia, that's not good enough. Nancy Pelosi and Obama are pushing for the American Equality Act, and the American Equality Act adds vilification provisions, and those vilification provisions mean that you must not vilify a homosexual. And in Australia, the courts have ruled you must not vilify Terry Bean after he's been charged with raping a child because he said the magic word, I'm gay, before allegedly abusing a child. And now he's facing 2 child rape charges. And his photo is on the New South Wales case law website saying he must be respected.
Well,
because being gay makes child rape and numerous other high crimes so wonderful because they've been done by a gay. It's a hate crime to say they're wrong. And that's all the case. The person suing Bernard Gaynor, that's Gary Burns, he said, here are the pedophiles, he said, must be respected. Christopher Kent Bowersox, the gay cop who tried to murder me in America, done for child porn. He said, who else needs to be respected? Mark Newton and Peter Trong, the Russian baby rapists. You can look them if you want up, if you go to quadrant.org.au, the story the ABC doesn't want you to see. You can see the US Supreme Court filings against Edward DeSea, which dictates the sexual positions they used on said screaming baby. You can go to crisismag.com, the story behind Russia's gay adoption ban, and see what really happened in Russia with a unanimous vote in the Duma to protect children from gay propaganda and gay indoctrination, because the Russians know how it works.
I agree.
Yes. You want to put up the Australian case law website?
Everything that this man has brought up has been searchable, has been something you can find yourself. So share this video. Share this video.
Got Christian Baker is sued. He started it.
The what now?
That man got Oregon Equality Act passed, which got all the bake the cake lawsuits started in America. That man, Ted, as thanked by Governor Ted Kogonski in the signing of the Oregon Equality Act speech.
This guy is a major player in the Democratic Party. Terry Bean actually danced with Nancy Pelosi. This is a man that has deep-reaching tentacles that reach into left-wing politics across this country, and not just across this country, but reaches across the globe with the connections of the pedophile network that is been running. What do we know? We know all these things are searchable. Terry Bean is searchable. You can find his sexual abuse charges. You can find the laws that this guy is bringing up, that Luke McKee is bringing up. Not just that, but you can also find every article he brings up, and he cites the case law. He cites every single fact. This is why this needs to be stated in the first part of this series, because this man has so much knowledge that we're unpacking for you. We know that Epstein ran a Lolita Express, and he was a Mossad agent, and it was part of a honeypot scheme that ended up going towards the pedophilia. And now we have this. If a Mossad agent is willing to do this, and they got away with it for a long time, we need to find the manifests for these flights. We need to find who's involved with this network, because it's not just an accident, all these high-powered people being connected to each other. It is a religious practice for them to do what they are doing, to to pervert things, to flip them upside down on their head. Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. That is Aleister Crowley. That is Marina Abramovich. That is the OTO, the Sabbateans, the people that infiltrate other religions as well. They'll infiltrate your religion, and what they'll do is they'll undermine it because they believe in redemption through sin. These are people who are occultists, and their practice is the abuse of the weak and the abuse of the innocent. And we can't let it go on. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to go on that rant there.
That's all right. It's good. Responding to that rant, someone that you admire, Alex Jones, has been saying, oh, the second man in the Vatican has been arrested for abusing children, and they're all so bad. But here's the thing. Based on my research, if you watch the videos from Martin Isle of the Australian Christian Lobby breaking down the case against Cardinal Pell, it is infeasible. I believe he is guilty of following orders from the government, i.e. Christopher Public, head of the gay lobby in Australia, who wrote the book on gay marriage. It's a homophobic witch hunt to investigate a Catholic school teacher's ran boy brothel in King's Cross. That man's name is Robert Dolly Dunn. And you've seen the paper from Chris Public where he said it's a big gay witch hunt to go after Catholic priest. He had a Catholic priest frock, but he was never really a priest. To go after Catholic priest-ran boy brothels is a homophobic witch hunt. ABC TV says, and I have to dig up the source for this, but I have seen it with my own two eyes. 80% of the child sex cases in Australia from the Catholic Church, or 90 was it, 80 or 90, come from homosexual priests abusing boys. The boys are the victims, okay? If the Catholic Church rooted out all the homosexual priests, that's 90% of their child problem erased. Now, the definition of a homosexual is two people who do same-sex sex acts. Is a boy male? Yes. Is a man male? Yes. If they have sex, it is a homosexual act. Most homosexual pedophiles or pederasts, or just homosexuals in my dad's and my point of view, they go for boys and they have relationships with men. Only 1% of actual pedophiles are exclusively do sexual intercourse with children. That is a medical fact from medical studies.
A lot of this is going to be hard, and I think this is why it needs to be unwrapped and unpacked in small amounts.
Discrimination is good. If you discriminate against gays, you wipe out. If you like, okay, let me put it this way: if you like to have a gay teacher in your school, okay, and you think it's wonderful you have a gay teacher, then you think it's wonderful your child is 40 times more likely to be abused, because for every child that gets abused by a straight the odds of a homosexual being a pedophile is between 10 and 40 times more likely than the average straight male is or the average straight person could be charged for abusing a girl. The first homosexual vilification law that's in Australia that said gays must be respected was lodged by David Battelle, Australian Executive Council of Jury, a lawyer. And he used to bend over Bangladeshi boys over his law firm's desk and rape them. I've spoken to the victim's lawyer, Mark Tarrant. Okay? They're telling us, and then he's also doing public speaking events saying, hey, don't be anti-Semitic. My study of the Bangladeshi youth and their views on anti-Semitism, and he's raping them.
So there's essentially a built-in mechanism to stop people from even criticizing this stuff, because as soon as they do, they'll be considered a bigot, they'll be considered a anti-Semite, homophobe, what have you. And we see these things built in, and we've criticized them here in the States. It's just how far does it go, and finding the underlying causes for what's happening. It's one thing to say, you know what, I don't care what somebody does in their bedroom. But the thing is, what somebody does in their bedroom, if they take it out of their bedroom, if it affects somebody else, everybody's sin is between them and God until it is not. And that means that they take their sin and they've abused somebody. And that's where we're at. So we have to call out what is. Sometimes statistics are insensitive, but they are true. So we have to understand that a lot of this stuff may seem harsh, but it is true. It's the truth, and we can't stifle the truth for the feelings of a few.
Well, that Two Dads and Me character, I know that I'll do it now. Damn it, the guy's over 18. The victim's name was Kyron Reed. He's not gay. He has a girlfriend. Okay, he was taken from St. Joseph's Nudgee Catholic School on a holiday to Bali and sexually abused by Two Dads and Me. And the court case was in the middle of the gay marriage vote. So for the sake of gay pride, Mr. Two Dads and Me, Michael James _TV on Twitter, whose alias is, real name is Michael O'Brien. Every pedophile that you find, so it's raining now, so I have to relocate. Every pedophile that you find who is gay, I've seen a trend amongst all of them. They always use a fake name in public life that they don't actually have on their driver's license or birth certificate. Even the gay judge in my dad's case, who says on his law firm's blog, I specialize in representing pedophiles. That's John Wakefield. His real name's Alexander John Wakefield. And that blog post is on Mondak, MONDAQ.com, in relation to the Royal Commission to Sexual Abuse and how he's the only lawyer I could find that says I specialize in representing pedophiles. And he found my dad guilty of homosexually vilifying said pedophiles. Now, the gay lobby is throwing themselves in with NAMBLA. Well, the fact that they're forcing kids to praise Harry Hay is pretty obvious. They're doing that. They've been doing it for a long time. But the gay lobby is saying, if you disrespect someone who says I'm gay, who abuses a child, you're doing a crime against the whole gay community. So the whole gay community is saying we stand with pedophiles by not themselves turning on the great boy lover, as I call him, Gary Richard Burns, who was also allowed to use a fake name in court, Gary with one R Burns, because if you put his real name into case law, you see he has a criminal history. So he was sheep-dipped. Do you find it strange that VIP pedophiles are allowed to use fake names in court? Have you heard of this stuff happening before?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
The thing is, it makes me so angry that I almost have no words to say. Every time and this is the truth. Every time I talk to Luke, I get angry, and it's not Luke's fault. It's the world is screwed. And I excuse my language, but it's the fact that these things go on is it's sick. It's sick, and I'm glad that we have people like Luke who are willing to sacrifice. I mean, Luke literally could be in Australia if he wouldn't have said anything. If he would have just sat down and accepted everything as it was, he could still be in Australia, having a nice life, just being a regular dude, not having to be chased around the globe. But this guy has to be chased around the globe because there's pedophiles who are in power that we put in power, and we have to reckon with that fact. And the fact that there is a religion that is based around the abuse of the weakest and most innocent in our society. And using our openness and our tolerance as classical liberal to pretty much abuse us. So
do you want to get into the meat and potatoes, and let's have a look at the head of the Anti-Discrimination Board, or the former head, Christopher Public, the guy who wrote the book on gay marriage for Australian marriage equality, the highest paid homosexual judge in Australia with no law degree on $330,000 a year. You've got barristers and lawyer Mark Tarrant calling for and judges in the federal court calling for his sacking because of his incompetence. Because to be a tribunal member, you don't have to have a law degree. It actually helps that if you marry a Jew, have a lesbian daughter, and have dark skin, and have a major in being a social justice warrior from Australian Catholic University, in the case of Janet Newman, whose photo I put up at the Mardi Gras with her lesbian daughter, when she's judging us for criticising gay pedophiles. I know. Christopher Public, yeah. Christopher Public, he wrote a paper defending that Robert Dolly Dunn boy brothel. He's also faked gay hate crimes. And can you confirm to your listeners that you've received the images of the Daily Telegraph newspaper from Australia from the 2nd of May 2004 about him fabricating said gay hate crimes, and you'll release them on your blog, the first to do so, since the paper was, the online versions of that article have been censored?
I got Public right here. It's in the dossier, correct?
I know it's in the files I sent you on Skype.
What's the title of the one you're trying to find here?
Well, yeah, if you just go through my pinned tweet on Twitter, we can talk about him, because that's the latest pedophile ring that I've uncovered. I've uncovered quite a few. There's the gay baby flesh trading ring, which involves New Life IVF. I got Tammy Davis Charles jailed in Cambodia for human trafficking, and their ABC. Now, the ABC in Australia is a TV station, like the BBC, and their marketing is your ABC, because your taxpayer dollars pays for militant liberal trash, like CBC in Canada and what have you, or MSNBC, you know, that's like in that league. And so their ABC, hashtag their ABC, they platformed Tammy Davis Charles before she was platformed her illegal overseas commercial surrogacy business, which is criminal in half the states on the eastern seaboard, on their Radio National program before she was arrested for human trafficking. And her website and New Life IVF's website, and still to this day, BritishSurrogacyCentre.com on their website, says, we help gay men with AIDS put their AIDS semen into third world women who are paid $1 an hour, who don't even know that the baby's going to a gay man, to make gay pride's AIDS babies. And the whole sperm washing thing they talk about is a medical hoax and is illegal in every Western country.
And they've actually made it illegal, or made it legal for a person to transmit HIV and not telling the partner that they have it in California. And they try to pass it off under this guise as, you know, we don't want people to be hurt. We don't want people to be harmed, you know, emotionally. But what about physically? What about the people that do get harmed? So because you're essentially saying, when you say something like, we're going to make a law saying that you cannot get in trouble for holding back the information that you have HIV and transmitting it to a partner, when they say that, they're essentially saying your life isn't as valuable as the person with HIV. So somehow,
in the case of Australia, we had a case of a prison rapist that Christopher Public sent into a woman's prison, Mr. Noel, as in Christmas, Crompton, as in the suburb of New York, and Hall, as in Deck the Halls. Mr. Noel Crompton Hall got the brochures from Christopher Public's justiceaction.org.au, a prison inmate service, saying, if you want to go into a woman's cell and a woman's shower block, just say that you're a woman, you can keep your penis. And he was put into Silverwater Women's Remand Centre in 1999. And there were 5 women that were gay pride AIDS raped. And then one of the victims did a rape kit and a DNA test and a camera interview, but the prosecution was dropped. The prosecution was dropped because the Christopher Public, at the head of Justice Health or nsw.gov.au, got her deported from Australia. And Australia has a treaty with New Zealand for material witnesses in criminal matters. But regardless of that, they said, because we deported a woman from Australia who was raped by the first transgender in the world to get a legal right to use a woman's toilet, she can't go to her own rape trial, and the charges were dropped. Then he went to the Anti-Discrimination Board and sued the warden of the prison for telling the other female inmates he had AIDS, because it disrupted his HIV positive sex life in a woman's prison. And then it went to Judge Anne Britton at NCAT, Magistrate Anne Britton, and the case was progressing well for them. So then Corrective Services settled and gave him $20,000. Then Christopher Public in the 1999 Southern Sydney Area Health Service annual report gave another $220,000 to the Gender Centre.org.au, which gave Noel Crompton Hall, aka Madison Hall, that's his fake tranny name because he's not a real tranny, he's still got his penis, contrary to getting $45,000 from the government to allegedly have a sex change. The laws that we have in Australia that allowed, that he actually put in, that the prisons didn't want to take him in the first place, but Christopher Public threatened a lawsuit. So this rapist was put, this fake tranny rapist was put in a woman's prison. And I've gleaned all this information from Hansard on the New South Wales Parliament website and various sources, okay? And I will be working with Mass Resistance to expose this and blog it, and in the near future. So then he gets out of prison, and there's a headline in the News Corporation, Murdoch Press, Madison Hall, hit and run lover. Just type that into Google. He's got out of jail after allegedly going for a sex change, and he's got women obsessed with him and putting ABOs on him. And then he's a murderer, right? And the same thing just happened in England with a tranny being put in a woman's jail and rapes occurring. And so if you go look up a video from CBC Canada, Trudeau Town Hall prison inmates, you can find it on the CBC YouTube channel. A fat man in a dress asked Trudeau on the spot at a gay pride town hall event, will you allow chicks with dicks in women's jails? And without thinking, he said, yes, we're going to ram through the same law that got 5 women gay prides AIDS rape in Australia. In 2010, in the same day as parole, Corrective Services classified the procedure manual for dealing with rapes in prison. That's in the dossier that I sent you on Christopher Public too. And I've also been able to look at every year. They keep classifying more and more things in that document. After I first called them up, they classified it more, and I can actually know what the black bars they have over it is. And I might do a show exposing that later. But they've actually, now in the same year that Noel Crompton Hall rapes were covered up and the female rape victim from New Zealand was deported, Christopher Public got Order of Australia as gay hero, covering up prison rapes for gay pride. Australia, so the equivalent incident of this happening in America would be the Aru Garab prison rapists getting the Congressional Medal of Honor. That's Christopher Public. So he's been found guilty of faking gay hate crimes. So his boyfriend, this is the guy who ran the anti-discrimination.
Isn't his boyfriend named Bunny or something?
Yeah. That's the screen. Can you open up your Skype? Go to my, if you can put it on my conversation on the screen, you can, for the first time in 12 years, people can see that redacted from the internet newspaper article with the leaked emails. And he was the head of the Privacy Commission, so he probably came after the press for publishing his emails. There was a cover-up at the Ombudsman level, according to Hansard. And when the Ombudsman himself, Bruce Barber, who's corrupt SOB, saw the Daily Telegraph article, it got referred to ICAC, okay? Now, ICAC did Operation Navajo, and Mark Tarrant has seen the report. It's an adverse finding. He is guilty of faking gay hate crimes. But the report was suppressed. And to this day, from various jobs, he's raking in about $1 million a year from taxpayers' money. The man who writes papers saying, defending boy brothel. He didn't just write a paper defending the boy brothel. He wrote letters to Justice James Woods of the Wood Royal Commission investigating said boy brothel and pleaded for it not to be investigated. This is almost as bad as Terry Bean, paying a child rape victim to disappear. And all the judges in Australia do the same. Gary Burns' lawyer, Kate Eastman, who kicked Israel Folau out of football, what's she doing? She works for the Salvation Army, writing out checks to victims to be quiet and not go to the police. And somehow it's lawful in Australia. Yeah, you've got the images now. This is, if you could zoom in on those, that's the story of the newspaper of him faking gay hate crimes. So this anti-discrimination board who found my dad guilty of hate crimes, its boss fabricated complaints so his bum sex partner, Bunny, can pay back a sugar daddy loan. You're looking at some of the emails. That's my dad going to the library and getting the stuff from the microfiche because it's not on the internet anymore, and it's probably censored by court order or something. My dad tried to email me those pictures, and they didn't make it through. And I'm an IT guy. I'm trying to talk to the EFF to investigate what happened, if they actually flag those images you just put on your screen as child porn or not, to try and stop it remove it from my mailbox. I haven't seen anything like it before. Well, I got my dad to check that he properly uploaded the email. He went to his Google sent items. You've got a screenshot of that there, and you've got a screenshot of my phone with it not displaying, and all the other messages with images display on my phone. Just that one. It's a controlled experiment.
All the evidence and stuff that Luke has compiled is going to be published on the Freeman Report website, so that you can research it yourself. That's a thing that I really want to hammer home. Is what Luke is talking about. And I've showed you since we started this broadcast, everything this man has brought up has been provable, has been corroborated, has been solid.
Hate facts. The truth is a hate crime.
Is that the world that everybody wants to live in? That's exactly what I want to ask the audience.
Special gay police running around taking children away from their homophobic parents after being brainwashed in safe schools. Safe schools in Australia, America had a safe schools are, and that branding isn't used in America because of Kevin Jennings, who wrote the book on queer hero, what's his name, Harry Hay, that Breitbart and Mass Resistance exposed with him handing out child anal fisting kits and telling gay child abuse victims that if they enjoyed their child rape and they liked the direction that their child rape changed their development to be gay, then you shouldn't go report the pedophile who raped you when you were a child. That's Obama's safe schools are. Anyway, we have the same in Australia. We have Gary Dowsett, who wrote a paper for Gay Information Monthly in 1982 called Boiled Lollies and Band-Aids, Gay Men Rape Kids. Now, the same guy who censored my Scribed account with all my court documents proving I was a refugee and stuff. And yeah, they're in some of my old videos. You can see it. I've got my UNHCR paperwork from 2010 and all the other stuff. He also censored an ABC journalist's account on Scribe who published said document, which I can ask me for a copy. If you want to find it, it's actually links to it on Bill Murenberg's blog, Culture Watch, the Rainbow War Against Families and Children from memory, and it's got my links to the document on the Scribe support site. Now, the guy who censored my blog, my Scribe account, is Jason Bentley, Scrib legal officer. His LinkedIn profile links to his blog, where he's blogging about gay dating sites and watching children fuck on public transport. I shit you not. Silicon Valley is basically a pedophile ring right there. I know. I've already posted links for that on my Twitter account.
This is what we see with CPS growing in the United States. People's kids are being taken away for as little as not accepting a vaccine, as little as saying, I want to homeschool. The more liberal the area, the more likely it is for your child to be taken by CPS. And why is that? What is the connection there? It is because there is a sect that is doing this as a religious sacrament.
It's been happening for 60 years in California. There's a book by Frederick Seeling, Destroy the Accuser, going through his kids being taken away and what they did to him. These sickos have been in power for way too long. And look, now Alex Jones did get one thing right. He said, we were talking about Alex Jones and before attacking Cardinal Pell. The other thing is we are trying, the information I'm showing can actually burn the Anti-Discrimination Board to the ground and put salt in the earth and put a sign up like Bernard Gaynor said that we will not make this mistake again lest we forget. But they are actually trying to bring down every church building, an ingenious plan. In Australia, there's something called the Ellis defence in court, which means that church lands and church property can't be taken, right? That's been rescinded. Then they also rescinded the statute of limitations, okay, for child sexual abuse offences. Even though there's law firms right now like Koffels, Koffels, still calling for victims of Robert Dolly Dunn, the child rapist that the guy who wrote the book on gay marriage in Australia, Christopher Public, defended. Okay. So where was I? So yeah, it just blows my mind how corrupt the system is. I mean, I'm even losing my train of thought. It's so disgusting to deal with this filth. But go through my tweets to see the evidence.
I think that's I agree. It is mind blowing, and it's hard to focus because there's so much of it. Again, this is the first of many, and as we follow.
Oh yeah, I remember now. All the church land will be taken. When Cardinal Pell was sued, the evidence against him was technically infeasible, and it was coming from the word of one homosexual who was being stage managed by Gary Burns, because we've got him stage managing other witnesses in his leaked emails, which I've exposed on my Josh Who TV link on my Twitter, where he's sending his penis picture to underage Craigslist child prostitutes. Anyway, Gary Burns admitted on Joy 94.9 FM radio show about him suing Israel Folau that he is involved in the persecution of Cardinal Pell and is going to the trial along with his witness mate. And so there's no evidence, there's no burden of proof. So any homosexual who hates the church, who's a Satanist, let's say, or a member of the Ordo Templi Orientis, whose highest level in the OTO is Master of the Hermit Triad XI level 9, level 11, I mean, in sodomy sex magic ritual. The highest level in the OTO, XI, okay, is Master of Hermit Triad. So to get to the top of the OTO, you have to do anal sex magic.
And this is, understand the fact that the numbers that he just said, the highest level is what? XI. What does XI stand for?
They've got one for masturbation and one for sex with women having their period too, I think.
But we have to understand that
Wikipedia says this. It's not a secret.
Exactly.
And it's not just Wikipedia, it's sources.
XI stands for 11. 10 is the number of 10 is the same as 0. 0 is the same as 10. It stands for spiritual perfection in God. So what would 11 stand for? 11 would stand for one above God. That is exactly what they're trying to do, is set themselves up above God and be able to pervert, because they cannot create and they are impotent. They pervert, and they will continue to pervert, and that is their religion. And it doesn't matter if you believe any of the religious stuff, just their crimes alone that are provable, that are documented by people like Luke, who have suffered under their tyranny, is proof enough to say, we need to stop this. I have to cut this short here, but I want everybody to know that we're going to continue to do series on this. And if they shut down my channel mysteriously, you know why it happened, because Luke has been censored everywhere, and I'm assuming and I'm expecting censorship.
Yeah, everyone, while you still can, look at my pinned tweet and go through the Christopher Public David Patel saga. Not only that, Christopher Public was going out on the town to MC an event organized by his best mate David Patel. Okay, and I first heard from lawyer Mark Tarrant that Christopher Public and Patel were best friends. He emceed an event organized by a man already facing 4 child rape charges, executive director of the Australian Executive Council of Jury, was raising money for ActionAid that was sending him to Bangladesh with its now current president, gay judge John Dowd. Okay? So, I mean,
please everybody check out.
ActionAid had a newspaper confirmed charged child rapists running their funding for an organization that they had previously, in their own press releases, admitted sending to see homeless children in Bangladesh, and they invited the former Prime Minister of Rainbow Labour Party, Kevin Rudd. The photos are there on my pinned tweet.
All
Isn't that
right.
unbelievable?
It is.
I mean, this is the guy who runs the Anti-Discrimination Board, and they're suing people for disrespecting pedophiles left, right, and center. Okay, and when the gay lobby says you can't vilify someone who says I'm gay, even if they abused a child, Gary Burns has got proof. Has given us all proof that homosexuality is inclusive of pedophilia. And that David Patel character, he put through the first case of homosexual vilification law in Australia, and he raped children. So you've got homosexual pederasts suing people who don't like them abusing children. Exactly. That's how it's rolling in Australia.
And that's how we have to understand it. I want to thank everybody who has tuned in. And I want to please encourage people to share this before it's censored, before it's shut down, before all of a sudden it mysteriously just disappears off the internet. This broadcast alone contains enough information to burn down their systems. So please share. And I will be too. I want to thank you, Luke, and I look forward to our coming conversations on exposing this more.
Okay, thank you very much. See you later.
Have a good one.
Cheers.
Cheers.